Well, this is a very special ESPN Cricket for Open Mic. Back we are with Open Mic to source your questions. We are giving you now the complete license to ask Anil Kumble anything. It's an AMA with Anil. Anil is with me. He's been with us for the last few days. He's seen New Zealand hammer Australia. He's seen one of the epic India-Pakistan clashes. And are you ready for what I think is the most challenging 30 minutes of your illustrious career?
Yeah,
Sourcing questions from people on social media.
Yeah, it is. It is quite a challenge answering questions from people on social media. But yeah, I'm up for it. Go ahead.
He's up for it. Anil is up for it. I hope you guys are too. We put out the request for questions yesterday, this morning. But even if you're watching right now, just fire away. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So just send in your questions, and I'll try and fire as many as I can over the next half hour or so to the great Anil Kumble. Right, let's get away. We'll start with the questions I've already picked up over the last few hours. Okay, this comes from Shalin Shah from Facebook. How do you as a bowler plan to break up a Kohli Pandya innings, that type of innings we saw the other night at Melbourne? Anil?
Yeah, Shalin Shah. Fortunately, I played for India and played for the same team, so I don't have to worry about the Indian batters. Yeah, but just to answer your question, I think Kohli and Pandya batted brilliantly. They assessed the conditions very well. They took the game deep on that day. But so it all depends on when you're planning to bowl. Yes, you're planning to bowl and try and break the partnership. Perhaps you will entice them to go over the top and maybe look for a wicket early on, especially when India were 4 down. And all batters, I mean, no matter how great they are, they're all vulnerable in those first 5 or 6 deliveries. So you need to sort of try and take your chances then. That's probably something that Pakistan didn't do. They thought that it will just happen.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think as a bowler you need to sort of do that. So you try and take those chances as a leg spinner, try and toss it up, try and bowl a googly, try and toss it up, entice them to sort of hit when their mindset is to just sort of nurdle here, there and take a single. So that's, and attack a bit more, allow them to sort of go after maybe those kind of things.
So I'm fascinated with that answer, because you feel like at 30 for 4, you've got the game and then you let the field spread after the power play. But does it take a brave captain or coach at that time to say, no, let's go for the kill?
Oh yes, yeah. I think so. I think, see, in T20 cricket you need to assess the conditions as well. When someone is 30 for 4, as a spinner, I know the pitch doesn't demand a short leg or a slip or a silly point. There's no harm in having that, because at the end of it you're giving singles anyway. Yeah. So at least you have someone here. The batsman suddenly starts thinking, oh, why is there someone up close here, in a T20 game. So you need to do certain things based on the situation that you are at. So maybe that's something that, Shadab perhaps could have done.
All right, let's go to our next question. Thanks, Shalan, for that one. This comes from Laksh Verma, also on Facebook. The best left-arm pacer currently, and what is your prediction about India, whether they'll win the World Cup or not? Let's take the first part of that question. Best left-arm pacer currently playing. Contenders, Shaheen, Stark, Bolt, Arshdeep has thrown his name as a protege.
I think in terms of experience, of course, you have the Stark and Bolt. Trent Bolt has been sort of brilliant from New Zealand over the years, consistent performer in all formats of the game. But if you look at the 2 young left-arm seamers, I'll certainly go for Shaheen Afridi and Arshdeep, because having worked with Arshdeep so closely, he's developed into a fantastic left-arm seamer. So yeah, Shaheen and Arshdeep.
Lovely. I love that answer. Let's go to a couple of questions we picked up of Insta as well. This is from Raja Saib. Every team has played 1 game in the Super 12. It's a good time to revisit Anil Kumble's prediction for the 4 semi-finalists. Anil.
Yeah, I think I did say that South Africa could be the dark horse, and it all depends now, boils down to the South Africa-Pakistan game. Who wins that? So I think Pakistan still have the edge. So I'll still go with Pakistan and India from Group 2, and Group 1. Australia. Australia have lost their first game by a big margin, but I still expect them to bounce back. They are a side which sort of thrive under pressure. I still believe that they can bounce back.
And then you'll have to pick one of New Zealand or England?
Yeah, I've already picked England.
Okay.
So I think England for sure. New Zealand have done exceptionally well, and they always do really well in World Cups.
Yeah. But let's not forget there's an England-New Zealand game that is still to play, and you never know how things go out. So Anil is sticking to.
I'll still stick to those four. Yeah, I'll still stick to those. Yeah, at this stage, yes.
All right. So I mean, if we do this 24 hours later, we'd know more. But Australia-Sri Lanka is a big game for Aaron Finch's side. We're going to be covering that game, so make sure you join us for coverage and analysis around that. But Anil is sticking to India, Pakistan, Australia, and England. So let's see how that prediction looks at the end of the tournament. Ali Alamdar. Now we can also take questions that go well beyond the World Cup. So feel free to send them in as Anil Kumble is with us for the next 25 minutes or so. Has Kohli played more memorable innings than Sachin? Wow, what a question from Ali Alamdar. Go for it, Anil.
Ali Alamdar. You know, I am someone who doesn't like to compare eras, and because I think what is important is to enjoy what is in front of you, and sort of go through the wonderful things that the previous era has done as well. And I don't see any comparison. I mean, I played along with Sachin. Yeah. We had some wonderful moments together on the field, playing for the country. Yes, there were some very sort of heartbreaking moments as well. And I think Kohli has played some wonderful innings, and we saw that on on Sunday against Pakistan. What he can do single-handedly. I think that's what great players do, and you have both great players of cricketing era. I mean, Sachin sort of transcends across sport. And I'm sure Kohli, when he does finish his career, I'm sure that's something that he will also do. And let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy every
it's
moment.
It's unfair to pick one over the other.
It's not right to pick, because I feel eras different, and it's all. Okay. You just enjoy the game.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Imagine if Tendulkar started his career, let's say, at the cusp of the T20 era. Who knows then how you would compare, right? It's hard. So Anil Kumble is asking all of you, including you, Ali, to just try and appreciate both. But thank you for sending your question. This is from Lenson on Twitter. I love this question. What name can you give for that shot? Kohli straight six to rough. Can you call it a name? Can't call it a straight drive. Can't call it just a loft or one of the many terms we have for shots. What name would you give it?
Oh, I think you can give a tennis shot. What was that? A forehand loft. or upper, not uppercut. So it's a forehand loft.
Upper loft.
Yeah, loft over mid-on.
All right, let's call it the Kohli loft. Yeah, how about that? Yeah, that's awesome. Let's go for Kohli loft, right? The forehand Kohli loft. We'll remember that for a while. Let's see if that finds its way into commentary jargon at some point. Thanks for that, Lenson. Let's take Rohit's question. I think Rohit Sharma has also joined us. No, this is another Rohit from Twitter. Your expectations, Anil, from Arshdeep, having closely observed him at Punjab. And he also has a very good second question about Jitesh Sharma. Do you think someone like Jitesh could do India's finisher job once they move on from DK? Anil.
Yeah, Rohit, I was really impressed with Arshdeep, how he has come through. I worked with him for 3 years, and I could see the kind of development that he has had in the T20 format, and last year's IPL was a classic example of how he handled the pressure. He perhaps bowled the tough overs for the team, and when you look at the wickets column, you don't always look at the wickets column in a T20 game. You look at what moments sort of the bowler comes up with, and the temperament that he showed. So he was wonderful. We saw that again. Yeah. In an India-Pakistan game, when you have 90,000 people at MCG, it's always challenging. So yes, Arshdeep has certainly matured. I would like to see him carry on and be one of those, under Zach's probably what Zach did for India. I expect Arshdeep to go on to do some wonderful things for India.
Wonderful.
And I think Jitesh is someone I rate really, really highly. He's a wonderful, cricketer. He's very mature. He's done all the hard yards in domestic cricket. He can hit the ball, not just of the spinners, but of the fast bowlers as well. He's someone who can hit off the back foot. We keep talking about it, and he's someone I think can do that finishing role for India. If not, now, I mean, he should be looked at, I'm sure, post this World Cup, when the selectors sit down to look at sort of the next lot of cricketers. I'm sure Jitesh's name will already be there.
Yeah, lots of cricketers who we think, oh, they look good in the IPL, but can they cut it at international level? You believe Jitesh
No, I
can?
believe he can, and he's a wonderful keeper too. I mean, he can keep wickets, and he does a finisher's role. See, my take on T20 cricket is about specific roles that they play for their respective teams. And Jitesh, I know, started off as an opener, but he's currently in a finisher's role. He bats at number 5, number 6, and that's the kind of thing that you need to do. Otherwise you'll end up, if you look at stats, then you'll end up picking the top 2 batters, which are generally the openers or number 3. They end up getting all the numbers in T20 cricket. So Jitesh, in his role, has done exceptionally well.
All right, you heard it from Anil Kumble, who's worked so closely with Jitesh Sharma, who had an excellent IPL, of course, last year. Let's go to our next question. Thank you to Rohit for that question. This is from Gaurav Jha. What, according to you, Anil, are the most important skills required for spinners in modern day T20 cricket?
I think a big heart. You shouldn't get flustered about being hit. One thing that any bowler, more so a spinner, is to sort of forget that particular ball, what has happened. Even if it is you bowled the best ball, you've sort of got hit, you tend to need to forget that and then move on to the next ball and then concentrate on what one has to do. I've always believed that as a bowler, if you're positive, if you're aggressive, if you're looking to get wickets, and that's the best time that you sort of bowl the ball with intent, like how we keep talking about intent for batters. Even bowlers need to have the intent of getting the batsman out. If you are protecting yourself, which perhaps is the format's way of looking at things, then invariably the bowler will go for runs. So the intent of a bowler needs to be always saying, I'm on top of you, I can get you out, and I'm here to sort of put a doubt in your mind. And it's not easy in a T20 format. And that's the kind of mindset I think spinners need as well.
Do you sense that the pure spinner may also become vulnerable? They've got to bat, they've got to contribute with bat, otherwise just a leg spinner or just an off spinner may not find as much taking?
See, one skill that probably over the last 5, 8, 10 years since the advent of the shortest format of the game has come through has been that you need to be a good fielder. So that's a given. Then you need definitely one skill which is exceptional.
Yep.
If you are a spinner, then you need that to be exceptional. And of course, you need to have some batting, talent as well.
Yeah.
It's not just about holding a bat anymore. It's about smashing it. We saw that with the Pakistan fast bowlers. Otherwise India would have chased 145 or 140 maybe. Suddenly India had to chase 160 because Shaheen Afridi came and smashed a couple of sixes. Naseem also came and smashed a 6. So I think it was Haris Rauf who came and hit a 6. So it's all about how you maximize, and it's not just about one skill anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the Shadab Khans and the Rashid Khans of the world work on their batting. So you heard it from the great Anil Kumble.
And also similarly,
yes,
Ronak, batters need to bowl as well. That's
Very
something
good
that
point.
is not happening.
Excellent point.
That is something that is not happening, because if you look back at when I played, you had Sachin who could do everything. You had Saurav who could run in and bowl. You had Viru Sehwag who can bowl spin. Yuvraj could bowl spin.
Absolutely. Suresh Raina used to bowl.
Suresh Raina used to bowl. So you don't have that, and that's something that we are finding now as a point of discussion, especially with the top 5 batters playing for India.
As always, we look for the bowlers and tell them, can you bat a bit?
Correct.
We don't look at the batters and say it's
Correct.
still a hard world.
Yeah, it is. It's important. It's important that they do that as well, because in a T20 you never know when it's required.
It's still the batter's game, whatever you say now. Anyway, I love this question from Johnny in the middle of a T20 World Cup. I'm going to take it. It's right up Anil Kumble's alley. Who do you think will be the leg spinner in future for India in Test cricket? I think it's a great question, because we haven't seen a leg spinner command his place ever since Ashwin and Jadeja made that spot their own.
I know. I know it's a bit of a left field, but I think Rahul Chahar can do the job.
Wow.
In my view, because he has the qualities. He's still young. I think the more he plays the longer format, a 4-day game or a 5-day game, first class matches, I think he has the ability to certainly do that. So I would certainly look at someone like a Rahul Chahar if one is looking closely at developing a leg spinner in the longer format.
Okay, given you worked with Rahul Chahar too,
Yes,
is that still an aspiration and ambition for leg spinners? Otherwise, you tend to think everyone's working for their white ball skills. Do young leg spinners still aspire to play Test cricket for India?
Yes, I think so. I think someone like Rahul surely does. Heart of hearts, everyone wants to play Test cricket, and yes, you have to work hard. You have to bowl long spells. You need to be consistent with your lengths and consistent with your action, and that's something that he has. He has that ability. It's just a matter of doing that more often and playing more matches for you to get confidence.
All right, let's take our next question. This is from Thaga, again, Kannan Thaga from Twitter. I like the question on Yuzvendra Chahal. I thought there might be a few. We obviously saw India go with Ashwin and Akshar Patel as the other all-rounder in that Pakistan game. Now, will we see Chahal in the upcoming matches in the World Cup? Anil, we thought that maybe Kannan is saying on the big grounds in Australia that Chahal will certainly play. Have India already shown us their best team, or do you expect Chahal to play a part?
No, I certainly expect Chahal to play a part. As the tournament goes along, I know there are matches like yesterday where South Africa played against Zimbabwe on the same venue in the second half. So you are literally playing the 60th over or the 80th over.
Yeah.
So it all depends on when you're playing. So certainly I don't think Chahal is not going to be looked at. He's someone, again, a potential wicket taking option for India, and he's done that for the franchise that he played. So he's done that for India too. So he's someone as a leg spinner who I don't think India will say no. This was probably the best team in terms of when you played Pakistan. I don't think India will close their eyes on, the management is not going to close their eyes on saying no, we'll continue with this.
Yeah, the other option that Kannan gives is maybe you could have Huda come in for Akshar Patel. Would you be tempted with that, even though it's all right-handers at the top? I guess people would look at that game and say Akshar bowled 1 over and
it's very difficult to sort of take a decision on Akshar's bowling just by 1 over.
Yes.
I mean, he'll definitely be useful because he's going to bowl. I certainly look at Akshar, someone like Akshar, to bowl in the power play as well, which I don't see many Indian spinners bowl in the power play anymore. So Ashwin used to do it a lot, but of late you don't have too many Indian spinners bowl in the power plays, and Akshar is one who certainly can do that for India.
All right, let's take another from this Twitter account, Fantasy Prediction for Free. Well, I must thank you on behalf of the cricketing world for your charitable work on fantasy cricket. 2 good questions. One is on whether India should look to get Pant in. I like the second one quite a bit, given we've seen Ashwin as part of the 11 at the moment. Should India promote him if they lose a top 3 early in a big match? Anil.
I know they did that for Rajasthan, did that with Ashwin. I'm not really sure because it all depends on the conditions. Yes, if it's Perth and if you're sort of saying, okay, I want to hold on to Hardik Pandya, I want to hold on to DK because DK generally his role seems to be the last 5 overs, finisher's role. So yes, in that sense, whether you want to send a left-hander in Akshar or you want to send Ashwin a right-hander, I'm sure he can do that job. I mean, he's a excellent batsman, and he's shown at the Test level, he's got hundreds in Test cricket, so he can do the job. If India sort of lose early wickets and if a need arises for him to sort of go and play that role, he is capable of it.
All right, let's take another question from Ajinkya Dhamdhere. I hope I pronounced that right, Ajinkya. This is quite a nice question, given we didn't quite touch upon it at the end of the South Africa-Zimbabwe game, but this requires some major cricketing rule changes. Anil Kumble has been part of these committees in the past. Should there be a single entity instead of the DLS target and DLS pass score in rain-affected games? I'll put this just for T20s. Given in that South Africa-Zimbabwe game, had the target been a 5-over target. South Africa would have actually achieved it in 3 overs. So we're trying to again perhaps bring up the general question whether DLS is best suited for rain-affected T20 cricket. Anil?
Yeah, I've had, it's been my pet peeve, whenever I've been a part of the committee, and it's always been a challenge. Number one, understanding the DLS is I don't think anybody understands other than DLS, other than Duckworth, Lewis and Stern. Yes, we know the sort of concept of how they've arrived at that, but it looks like it's perhaps the best possible scenario in rain-affected games. I know that people are suggesting that South Africa had in fact crossed the DLS TLS score, but you can also counter-argue from a Zimbabwe side that in the 2 overs that was remaining, we would have picked up 5 wickets. Then what happens to the DLS score? Yes, they were 51 for no loss at that point in time, which should have been at the end of 5 overs, but you still have 2 overs, so you have 12 balls. Zimbabwe will say, no, we can win the game. So how do you counter that? So the minimum game time required is 5 overs. And with rain predicted, more rain predicted at some stage during the game, should the umpires have played only 5 overs instead of 9 and then 7 and then 5? Or so I think it's a tough one. So I guess
as things stand, is it the best option? As things stand,
it is the best option. ICC certainly has made provisions, especially in the knockout stage. You still have matches for you to sort of pull back. That's what Boucher also mentioned, saying, I'm glad that this was the first match of the tournament rather than the 3rd match or the 4th match. So I guess it's tough. It's tough, really tough to sort of counter this. Rain has always been a part of cricket, and sometimes part of South Africa, more often than not.
It's been a big part of South African cricket. Faf du Plessis was just expressing that emotion in the best way he can when he was on our coverage for that game. But you heard it. It's tough to find the ideal solution. But let's see if rain plays a bigger part in this World Cup going forward. You'd hope it doesn't. I'm going to take some questions from our YouTube live now. Shubham Garg has been aggressively putting this question. It's a very good question. Anil, have you noticed any change in Kohli's technique as we're seeing a marked improvement in his attacking game against spinners?
I think what I've certainly seen is his use of feet to the spinners. Generally, he would be on the back foot looking to play through mid-wicket, especially to left-arm spin, but now he is more at the bowler, going after the bowling, and that's something that's a positive change, and we have seen the effect of that. He took the game to Nawaz the other day when he hit that 6 stepping out. That's a welcome change, because as a spinner you don't want the batters to sort of keep moving, and it upsets the rhythm of the bowler even in a T20, because you don't know when the batsman's going to step out. You then drop it short, and the batsman sort of plays on the bowler's mind, and that's exactly what Kohli has done, and yes, that's the change that I see.
All right, another one from our YouTube live is from Ganga Jai Bharat, and it's a nice question again. He says, Indian team kept talking about batting with aggressive intent, but we didn't see that in the India-Pak game. Were they tentative?
I think the openers, it's only fair to say that the openers were tentative. You could see that Rohit was waiting for the ball to come back in, because there was a lot of movement when Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Arshdeep and Shami bowled for India. There was a lot of movement. So obviously, knowing that Shaheen can bring the ball back in, they were expecting that to happen. It didn't move that much, and that's perhaps why they were a bit tentative, and Rahul pushed at it. And similarly, Rohit, didn't move his feet. Otherwise, he would have been moving his feet. He was expecting the ball to swing. It didn't swing. And generally, the batters make that adjustment within a few deliveries, but unfortunately, they didn't survive to go on and make those adjustments. But it's only fair that when the ball is moving around, you have to
be a bit more watchful.
No, and you have to respect the bowling as well in a T20. It could be just those 3 or 4 balls.
Right, fair enough. We have a game against Netherlands next. Maybe we'll see that aggressive intent there. This is from Matkun. He wants Anil to have some fun and predict some upsets in this round going forward. We haven't seen any in this round, you say. There are no real upsets, unless you call New Zealand thumping Australia an upset.
Not an upset,
Yeah.
but I don't think Australia expected that kind of result. Yeah, I thought it would be a close game, even when New Zealand scored 200. I thought with the batting lineup that Australia had, they will get closer to the target. I expect certainly Sri Lanka,
Beat
to
one of the-
beat one of the big teams. It could be England, it could be even today. You never know. But I think Sri Lanka has it in them to do it. Then Ireland perhaps have it in them to beat one of the bigger teams. I'm not so sure of Netherlands. And Zimbabwe, I think they've, I'm not sure. From what I saw yesterday, I don't see them beating the bigger teams, but certainly Ireland and certainly Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka certainly has that.
I mean, you can certainly put Sri Lanka in the upset category with due respect to them, even though they won the Asia Cup, because everyone's looking at Australia, England, New Zealand from that Group 1 in these conditions. So we'll see if Sri Lanka can spoil a few parties. Who knows? Maybe even chart a way for themselves if they manage to do that enough times. Narendra Singh, this seems like the question that a lot of people have in their mind for the future. Should Pant play as an opener? Now, he's saying instead of KL Rahul, but I like that question in general. Pant as a T20 opener.
No, I certainly believe that, look, opening slot is perhaps the easier option because, you're sort of setting up the score if you're batting first, and when you're chasing, you know exactly what to do, and then you have the advantage of the field restriction. He can certainly be destructive. So it all depends on what role you want him to play. If everyone, if you ask any batter, okay, where do you want to bat in T20 cricket? He will say, I want to open the batting. And that's what you've seen even in the IPL. Everyone sort of looks to bat 1, 2, 3, and nobody wants to do the number 6 job of what DK is doing. How many, that's why we spoke about Jitesh Sharma, because he does that specific role. So even Pant, for Delhi, he sort of bats at 4, sometimes 3. So, yeah, he can bat anywhere. He can bat anywhere. It's just a matter of him. Sometimes when he's a bit like Virendra Sehwag as well. Sometimes when you're playing the shorter format, you tend to think that you need to bat at a higher strike rate, and that upsets your rhythm. And that's used to happen with Viru as well. In test match cricket, he used to bat at more than 100 strike rate, and then he thought that when he batted in the one-dayers, he need to go at 150. You just need to bat normal, and eventually you will be at 150. And probably Pant thinks the same way, saying, okay, in test match cricket I bat at 100 strike rate or more than 100 strike rate. In T20 cricket I need to go 200, and maybe he tries too hard. So it's just probably one of those things where all he needs to do is just be himself, whether he bats up the order or whether he bats 4, 5, 6. I think he bats, he is a natural gifted striker of the ball, very powerful striker of the ball. So it doesn't really matter where he bats, he'll still get you 160, 170 strike rate.
All right. Speaking of that subject of finishers and that specialized role, this is from Vinayak Sharma. Please ask Kumble sir about Sanju Samson as a finisher in that DK slot.
At the end of it, I always believe that you need to sort of play that role. Anybody can finish the game, yes, only if you've played that role. And I would encourage batters, when they play for their respective teams, to play that role rather than score all the runs in 1, 2, 3 and then expect that, yes, you're going to bat at 6, because T20 cricket is all role specific. The second 10 overs is the most difficult for a batter. The first 10 overs, you're setting the game up, but the second 10 overs actually determine how you're going to finish the game. And that is eventually a make or break. And that's where I feel that batters who want to be playing the finisher's role need to do that for their respective teams.
All right. This is from Dushyant as well as Naji Arez. I'm going to club their questions because they want Anil to answer who the best bowling attack in the tournament is. Najib is saying, do you think Pakistan have it? And Dushyant saying, do Australia have the best pace attack, if not the bowling attack? Looking at the bowling attacks we've seen one game by every team so far. Anil, would you pick one?
No, I think Pakistan certainly has the best pace bowling attack,
yeah,
for sure. They lacked the all-rounder that Australia have. Australia, I think, has an overall, good attack in terms of having options. India certainly has good spinners. So, if you ask me, I think Pakistan has the best fast bowling attack.
All right, let's take one last one. This is from Aditya Kumar on KL Rahul. He's wondering, why does KL Rahul fail in ICC or important events? Is it a temperament thing? What do you make of that? Is that sort of building up for you? KL Rahul is a big match, big tournament player?
No, I think it's just a matter of him relaxing and just going about his job. I don't think, the problem I think we sort of tend to have is we scrutinize every ball, every innings, and in a T20 one tends to ignore the fact that it's a batter's high risk game, and you just, like I mentioned, both Rohit and Rahul were tentative at the start, which was understandable, and they didn't get through that phase. If they had got through that phase, things would have been different, and I'm sure in a tournament like this, he will come good, and he has that ability. We have seen that. It's just a matter of just going out there and then not worrying about the noise that's around when people play, and I'm sure the batters know it, and I know Rahul does as well. He's exceptionally talented. He just needs to go and bat naturally. He doesn't need to be circumspect, nor does he have to be flamboyant. It comes naturally to him, stroke making, and he looks so elegant. It doesn't look like he's hitting the ball really hard, so he just needs to bat naturally.
All right, there you've heard it from Anil Kumble. Must thank all of you for sending your questions in. I'm sorry if I couldn't take more, but we've got just about half an hour or so with Anil. We've got to get ready for Australia versus Sri Lanka. We promise to do this again, so keep those questions coming. Anil, thank you so much. Did you enjoy that? Some
yes.
good, intelligent questions.
Oh, yes,
people thinking
absolutely.
about the future.
No,
fans always think about the future of Indian cricket.
No, absolutely. I think that's what you want. I mean, you want them to ask the hard questions, and you want them to sort of follow the game closely, and which is what you want, and the feedback and the critique that is provided certainly helps the players.
All right, brilliant. Thanks so much to Anil Kumble for his time and his thoughts. We'll have Anil for a lot more during our T20 World Cup coverage, so do join us then, starting of course with build up to the Australia-Sri Lanka game later today. Join us then for ESPN Cricket Info T20 Timeout. For now, this was a very special AMA with Anil on ESPN Cricket Info Open Mic. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.